The time is drawing nigh for Tszyu, the Soul Taker, to defend his WBO junior middleweight title against Sebastian Fundora, who's stepping in for the injured Keith Thurman. Now there's another title on the line as well, the WBC. Let's talk about this fight coming up. Tszyu is going to now defend his WBO and fight for the vacant WBC junior middleweight titles against Sebastian Fundora. Fundora was coming into this fight where he was going to fight a sparring partner on the undercard, but has elevated himself to the main event after Keith Thurman fell out of this fight with a training injury. It makes no never mind to Tszyu, who has for the past few years been looking to assert himself in the division. And at the age of 29, he has entered his prime and is not going to be denied, for he feels he's the best junior middleweight in the world, willing to take on any and all comers. That's a pleasant thing for the casual boxing observer, because there are so many fighters in the sport today across multiple divisions that just do not want to face stiff competition. This particular fight is something that would have probably taken place anyway, because as contenders, the two of them could have had crossed paths prior to now, and even if one of them had the opportunity to have the title in their possession, they would eventually have to see the other man. So hats off to Tszyu for stepping up to do the proper thing. The Australian is taking on the best that are out there, and he wants to fight the best because he feels that he is the best and can only certify that by eliminating anyone else that are having a stake to that claim. In the case of the Towering Inferno, as he's referenced as, Sebastian is bringing a record of 20-1 with 1 draw, 13 KOs into this fight. He has come from Coachella, California, 6'6", a southpaw, that it has an 80-inch reach. In his last fight, which was an April 2023 defeat at the hands of Brian Mendoza, a hard-fought battle where he was stopped, KO'd in the 7th round. Fundora is coming back against the toughest and tightest opposition he could face in a comeback, but it's for so much online that he couldn't turn this down. Not only for a unified title, but also one of the division's best, if not the best, in Tszyu. So this is a fight where he can gain so much. And Tszyu, who's entering with his record of 24-0, 17 KOs, he's 29 years of age, as I said, an orthodox fighter who's 5'8" and has a 70-inch reach. But he wants to have this type of competitiveness. He felt that he was going to do away with Keith Thurman quite easily. And when that fight was announced, his WBO title was not going to be on the line against Thurman, because the sanctioning body didn't want to sanction the fight for a fighter like Thurman, who had been out of the ring for a long time, inactive, and wasn't really presently in their ratings for having never fought at junior middleweight before. So this all the way around is a better opportunity for not only Tszyu, the champion defending, but also in the challenger in Fundora, who prefers fighting on the inside. You would think that a fighter that is of his height and reach and extremities, that he would want to keep opponents at a certain range. But this gentleman likes to fight in close. There's nothing like close proximity and being in a position to give out and receive contact. And Fundora happens to be a man of that ilk. But there's a downside in this particular fight for him, in that being his strength, because it also happens to be one of the greater strengths of the champion, Tszyu. He likes to fight on the inside. He's a seek and destroy type fighter, punishing his opponents with blistering body shots, uppercuts, and hooks on the inside. Now, he lives on the inside, where the opponents seem to die when he faces them. Even Brian Mendoza had difficulty after having great success against Fundora. When he turned around and faced Tszyu, he found himself being battered. And though he was able to go the distance against Tszyu, he was battered severely, and it showed in his face and the wear and tear on his body. Tszyu, who fought Mendoza in October of 2023 in his hometown of Australia, he had everything going for him, but not just like home advantage. He had the momentum because he's hot right now. He's a hot-spirited commodity. And that doesn't bode well for Fundora either, because when you have a fighter that's gained the type of momentum that Tszyu has, it's a lot like David Benavidez in the 168-pound division, where coming off of 2 wins over fighters like Demetrius Andrade and Caleb Plant back-to-back, it's almost like he's got such a ball of steam going that no one wants to get in front of that because they could be run over. That's where Fundora had better come into this fight looking to use the boxing skills that would be to his advantage. If he doesn't do that, he will find himself steamrolled by the Soul Taker. The fact that Tszyu puts his punches together very well, and a lot like his dad before him, he's a heavy-handed fighter that has good punch placement. I didn't give him enough credit for this earlier as I watched him, because I felt like he was fighting selected opponents that would accentuate his strengths. But when I saw him do it against Brian Mendoza, that made me start to take note, because Mendoza was not an easy pushover fight for him. And riding over the victory that he had over Fundora, he had a bit of momentum going himself. But alas, he had to fight Tszyu in Tszyu's home country, and that could have taken a little bit of the luster off for him. But yet and still, when you saw him at the end of this fight, you could see where Tszyu had really put it to Brian Mendoza. And again, they're now good friends, but at the same time, that competitive edge and spirit of a fighter who wants to prove himself to be the best is what means the most. Now, Fundora may be taking this as the opportunity presented himself and thinking, wow, this is a good chance for me to get right back in the mix. But he hasn't really shown that he can come back from such a devastating KO that he suffered against Mendoza. And this being his first fight since then, it's going to raise a lot of questions, because if the heat gets turned up, will he be able to take it? Tszyu is going to ensure that he doesn't, because Tszyu has seen the best of what Fundora has to offer and the worst at the same time going in. So the advantages are all his. But what do you think? This is Stormy B-Man. Shout out to the mighty LDBC and Liberated Perspective, a third eye view of the world. For more content such as this, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Let me know what your thoughts are about this big Junior Middleweight Showdown, and who do you have? Peace to everyone out there, and everyone please remain safe.